What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another disassembly video. Today I will be taking apart the Kizlyar Supreme Whisper. Now I've already taken this guy apart and cleaned it and gave it a little gave it a practical spa treatment, and I got to a point where the blade actually falls on its own weight, which is very nice because this didn't do this when I first got the knife. Now today what I'm going to do is, since I've used it and I'm about to review this knife, I decided to open her up again, get her cleaned up, and get her prepped for the review that I'm about to do on this. And also what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can make the pivot even smoother than what it is. So for the disassembly, you're going to need a T8 and a T6. So with the T6, we're just going to take apart the show side here. There should be just 3 screws on this side, and plus the pivot. Pretty easy to disassemble. Basically, a very basic knife. I don't think there's anything. I can't remember though, because I haven't taken this apart for a little while now. But there shouldn't be too much drama underneath this. And then we get the. There we go. Oops. For the most part, this knife is a really good knife, with some minor issues. Oh, and my nail polish is starting to come off in certain places, but whatever. Oh, by the way, you can see the nice milled out handle scales here. Let me get this in here a little bit more. So it's kind of cool. So it makes, I mean, this thing is lightweight and very strong. It's extremely rigid. So get the pivot off. Now I know there's something specific about this pivot. It's not on bearings. Okay, so you can see here, it's very interesting that the washer, it's just on washers, but the washers, oh jeez, my camera, come on. So the washers, you can look at this. I just wanted to show you guys this. The washer doesn't even fit properly on the pivot. I don't know what the deal with this was. So anyways, I'll be polishing those up with like an 800 grit sandpaper in a second here, but let me just take this off. The other side has a different, oh boy, come on. And the whole knife is falling apart. So this is a stop pin. There we go. So don't be confused. This is not a stop pin here. This holds a scale. This is the stop pin right there, which is gonna just fall out on its own. So let's get that out of the way. All right. So for one thing, you're gonna have to remember which side is which. At least I hope that's what it is. So you got one washer here. It's actually thinner than the other washer. Very interesting. It is slightly thinner and slightly different. Cool. So slightly thinner washer, and also it seems to me that the washers are a little bit different, like ever so slightly. Unless my eyes are playing tricks on me, these are different washers. But anyways, so today for the spa treatment, I'm going to go ahead and sand this down because it does feel kind of catchy, and part of it is probably due to the coating as well. I'm going to hit it with some 800 grit sandpaper. I'm going to hit these with some 800 grit sandpaper. And I've got to be very careful. You don't want to remove too much materials because, I don't know what the tolerances are like on this knife. But again, they come from the factory a certain way. You don't want to mess with those tolerances too much. All right. So let me back this camera up a little bit. Excuse me. I'm going to take the tray out of the way and I'm going to work on my piece of cow here. So I think the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to, start with these washers here. Just going to clamp this piece of sandpaper to the table here. And I'm just going to simply just do a little nice circular motions with this until I can feel, no catching virtually. 800 is not going to take too much material off. And I'm not pressing down very hard. I'm just going to run it around the sandpaper a little bit. And then like in just circular motions. Okay, so you can see I got this ran around a little bit already. So you can see on this side it's kind of dark and gritty here. I'll put it out on the piece of leather here. Then when I flip it around, much more shinier. Just a little bit left. I'm gonna get rid of that. And then after that, we're gonna start on the pivot of the knife, or I'll do the other one. Then we'll start on the pivot of the knife. And of course, you have to do both sides. Okay, so here we are. I got this side of the pivot and this side of the pivot taken care of. So let's go ahead and get it all back together. So start with the, oops, here it is. Start with this side here. So this thing is notched out, so it fits in. Here, let me just zoom in a little bit so you guys can see. So this pivot screw is notched out and it fits in just like that. So it prevents the pivot screw from turning when you're trying to take the other side out. So let's get a little bit of greasy grease on here. I don't know why it is, but I just like putting a little bit of grease on the pivot. What I usually like to do is I put 2 drops of grease on each side, and then I put the pivot on and I just spin it a little bit to kind of get it worked in. Up here it seems kind of dry. Okay, so now I'm going to put the blade on there. Oops, I want to get the stop pin on there too. So that way I can lock this thing up for a second. There we go. Alright, so now the blade is kind of locked in the open position there. So what's really different about this knife for me is the fact that the pivot diameter doesn't really fit. I mean, this thing just slides around. This is kind of weird and insane to me how this thing is. I mean, look at that. It's just... Anyways, I don't know. Just going to put some on the other side. Well, at least I can spin the pivot a little bit. There we go. Okay, well, good enough, right? So let's get this bad boy back together. Just like, oop, just tip of it just went into the fabric here. All right, so with that being said, let's get all this stuff back together. Oops. Maybe I should get the other spacer. I didn't realize the other spacer fell off. There we go. So when I assemble these, I don't know why, I always put the back spacer on first, but then I don't tighten it all the way down because, you know, sometimes if you tighten it all the way down, it kind of affects the pivot a little bit. So I just tighten it up until it stops. So, but I don't tighten it all the way. And then similar with the stuff, anything on the spine of it as well, I just kind of give it a nice, you know, just very gently get it all screwed in, and then after this, it's kind of a matter of adjusting all the screws around the entire perimeter of the knife, as well as the pivot, to get that, you know, that centering that I want, or, you know, the action that I need, the feeling of the action I need. So, oop, did I strip this? There we go. All right, so let's get that in there. Okay, so let's go ahead and get the backs. All right. Now I usually do it with the blade kind of half closed here, so I can get. All right, so this one's obviously off, so. Centering's pretty good so far, so let's go and get the other screws tightened down. Yeah, okay. So let's check for blade play. Very slight blade play, no up and down, so that's good. So let's see here. Now I start to adjust the pivot with the knife fully opened. Okay. Centering is pretty good. Very little blade play, but this thing is torqued all the way down though. So I don't know. Okay, let's try this out. Oops. Okay, so let's see how if it does a drop. Okay, nope. Centering is good. No blade play. Oops. Ah, wrong one. Let's back up just a tiny bit. Centering is still just slightly off. Okay, there we go. A little bit of blade play. Okay, so I guess I am gonna leave it tight. I don't really need that drop kind of thing, but it still drops, which is actually pretty good. It actually, on the most part, feels pretty smooth, like that. Oh, nice. So yep, centering's dead on, and then from this point on, we go ahead and shiny up the blade. Get this out of the way. So you can see I already polished the blade a lot. So get this almost near mirror finish on here. Alright, so this is it. This is how to take apart and maintain the Kizlyar Supreme Whisper. Here you can see my camera, so it's pretty high polished. This is a D2. I didn't actually think D2 would clean up so nicely, but I guess if you spend enough time polishing, it's going to be pretty high polish there. So anyways, look forward to the review of this bad boy, and I'll put the pocket clip on later. Any questions or comments, please leave it below. Aside from that, take care, and you guys have a good day.